Hi, my name is Fiona Parkinson, and my pitch is called People Watching. And I'm going to show you the board because I don't think the video really catches up on it. But here's my different sections and my different acts and what the board looks like. So the story centers around a man named John who is in his late 30s and works for a local newspaper in his hometown. It takes place in the 90s, so online news isn't really a big thing yet. However, his boss Linda is trying to change the format of magazines and make them look more coffee table book-esque, in which they are pretty but not something you read for substance. This scares John for two reasons. One, he hates change and he wants to create meaningful articles, not just pretty ones. In order to achieve Linda's goal, they hire a big city photographer named Paul and they become unlikely friends. So then we start with Act 1 up here. So Act 1 starts out with John stuck at his desk and the office is very gray and boring. John states, "The work environment turned everything gray. Even the beach photo of him that laid on his desk had no color. It's as if the job didn't allow any color or fun, and the picture knew that." And then in this scene right here, Linda pulls him and his co-workers into a meeting to introduce Paul and explain his job. They assign John to show Paul around the small town since he grew up there. Paul finds the small town very charming. While talking, they come up with the idea of creating a section in the newspaper called People Watching, which tells the stories/gossips of the townspeople in a way that's not too obvious. Paul states that he will provide beautiful pictures next to it, and people won't even notice that the stories are about them. And that kind of leads us into Act 2, Part 1. At first, John says no to this idea. However, after John talks to his mother, and his mother states that they make a good pair, John agrees to work on this idea with him. The stories start off innocent and go pretty much unnoticed next to Paul's photography. John likes the stories because they are meaningful to him since it's about real life, and he likes how it makes him feel more connected to the people in his hometown. We really start to see John come out of his shell and get involved in the community, going to town meetings, etc. And that leads us into Act 2, Part 2. One of John's stories starts to gain a big audience because it states that this so-called perfect couple is actually not so perfect after all. John knows this after seeing them both cheat on each other. He decides to publish the story because the so-called perfect couple involves his ex-boyfriend who cheated on him. So he decides to publish the story to get even. This story, however, causes great panic around the town. People start splitting up, thinking it's about them. Others try to play detective to figure out who the couple really is. To make things worse, the mayor decides to cut back funding for the newspaper, causing Paul to lose his job and make him move back to the city. And that kind of starts with Act 3. Act 3 starts with John realizing his mistakes and trying to make things right. He starts apologizing to the townspeople, and to kind of spare people's feelings, he lies and states that the couple in the article was fake and that it was never real and something he just made up for fun. John notices that getting back at his ex didn't make him feel better and that he loves Paul. Since the townspeople really enjoy Paul's work, they try to convince the mayor to fund the newspaper once again. In the end, John and Paul end up together. John is fired from the newspaper though for causing such a scene in town, but ends up writing a book instead that brings him more joy and brings him more meaning to life. And that's the end. So yeah.